What a gorgeous morning we are having. I have interrupted myself before the video starts to say I forgot to do a few things, a few house cleaning things. So before we talk about cannabis at the Folk Festival, first I want to show you what kind of day we had yesterday. We were supposed to go raft racing, and a lot of you may be wondering, if I had posted this video without this, you'd be saying, hey Gord, what about rafting? We did not get out, and it's kind of kismet that we didn't. My son got a phone call from his work, my older son, and got called in to work. And we wanted it to be a three guys, three amigos kind of thing, so I canceled it. And we were supposed to start at 2:15. And let me throw this up and let me throw this over to a video I made yesterday at exactly 2:15 when I dropped Pasha off at his mother's house so that he could play with a friend of theirs, a friend of his, another 12-year-old boy. So over to that. Wow, eh? Yeah, that was the storm that happened from 2:15 when we would have been on the river right through till 3. We would have been floating down the river in huge high winds and a lot of thunder and lightning. Not a good thing, so I'm glad that that happened, and Pasha had a great day yesterday. He is at his mother's, and an update on Cookie. Of course, y'all want to know about Cookie. She's doing much better. Her back is still bothering her, and she's a dachshund. That's a normal thing. But since she's been put on the antihistamine, she hasn't had a single nosebleed. She has not had any reverse sneezing. She seems to be she's calmer. She's a little doped up, and that over time will dissipate too. So all in all, I think things are good. So now let's throw it over to Birchie in the morning, bringing you some news, first time in a long time. Over to Gord. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed that piece, and now for the meat of the matter. Cannabis consumption allowed at the Calgary Folk Festival. I wanted to put the article on the screen for y'all to watch as I read. However, I've run into difficulties with my OBS, and so I have my laptop in front of me. I'm going to attach the article below. You can read along with me, or you can just listen to me as I talk to you. Because I've read this so many times that I'm likely to not read it well. I'm likely to skip over all the stuff that I think is crap and just bring you the important stuff. The last video was too long anyway. So let's back the bus up to about 3 weeks ago when the Calgary Stampede was happening, and the Calgary Stampede people released a press release saying that they will not be allowing cannabis consumption on the fairgrounds because they just weren't ready for it. They understood its legality. They just said they just couldn't logistically provide, even though they had beer tents all over the place. And I put that down. However, I downplayed it, trying to remind everybody that, as I said, legalization is going to take 4 to 5 years to smooth out, to normalize. We need to slowly normalize away from the stigma. We also need all these different public and private events to be trying or not trying to fit in or stay away from this new market. And as time goes on, what people do will be critiqued, looked at, improved upon. So let's start this article with that in mind, that this is a beginning, just a beginning. And you might want to look this up because there's a few pictures that I'll refer to that are rather interesting. So, visitors to the first legal cannabis consumption area, Calgary Folk Music Festival, had mixed feelings about the site, which is fenced off in a far corner of the festival grounds, roughly 500 meters from the main stage. I want to preface this. Prince's Island Park is where the festival is. I've taken you there a couple of times. Anytime that I showed you the big red bridge, the pedestrian bridge, the memorial overpass over the river. If you've seen that, you've seen Prince's Island Park. It's not a huge park. It's maybe a half kilometer long. So the main stage is at one end, the Cannabis is at the other. Kind of, who cares? Who cares? It's there. You know? That's how I feel. We don't really need to be penned in the corner, but it's fine, said Shauna Harstook, one of the first people to visit it. I like that they have one instead of not having one. And you know what? I don't think I want to read too much more of this. I want you to look at the article and see the actual kind of pen they put people in. They had a rather large square area with a bunch of chairs and tables and 2 hammocks even, but it's surrounded by chain link fence, and then the chain link fence is covered with black opaque materials such as flags and advertisements, so nobody can see in and nobody can see out. So my critiques of this situation: probably should have been closer to the main stage so people would utilize it more often. If you're going for a quick puff, you're not going to run 500 meters to the other side of the island. So that could have happened. They could have also not had the black fence around it. Pot smokers are not lepers. You don't need to hide what they're doing, because what they're doing is legal and not gross or rude. It isn't a sex pen. It is a cannabis area, for lack of a better word. So, location and the way they built it could be improved upon. But the pros: a lot of people used it. A lot of people didn't mind it. And it keeps a fair amount of people from smoking pot right in front of other people who have kids there to watch the rock festival. Yes, it's a family event. Rock festivals always have been, but kids have always been surrounded by pot smoke just filling the air. I like the idea of starting to try to cordon it off so that those of us who partake can partake carefully and respectfully, and those who don't partake don't need to be interfered with their own enjoyment of the place. I'm really middle of the road there. I'm really libertarian on this, is provide what's there. People will not be forced to use it. Some people just go down to the river and toke, and you know what? Someone's going to just sit in the audience and toke, and somebody's going to tap them on the shoulder. I say let people do what they want to do, but provide them the opportunity to be courteous, and most people usually are. I also think that they had some issues with it, but all in all it went well. Today's the last day of the festival. I may have more to say on it tomorrow. And more festivals across the country will start dabbling in this, dabbling into this foray of this new environment, this new market. They want to take advantage. They want to provide for their people, but they also don't want to cause issues, and they don't know what issues might arise. So this whole year is going to go by with a whole bunch of people doing different things. And then for next year, every single one of these places, including the Calgary Stampede that didn't allow it this year, they may even allow it next year, because they're going to see best practices all across Canada. What worked, what didn't work, how can it be modified to meet the locality, and they'll try again. And within a couple of years, this will become just another side of normal. I've always said we will get rid of the stigma when cannabis is no longer an excitable thing to talk about, when no longer do you even care about a cannabis channel or a weed tube, because it's just a part of society. We're getting there. Friends, we have one last thing to do, and that's weird science facts. I have one for you that's kind of odd. In Calama, a town in the Atacama Desert of Chile, it has never rained in history. I find that difficult to believe, but it's written down, so it's got to be true. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony. Ooh, that was bad. Oh well. Peace.